Right, hello. Hello. Time for the finals. Hello, Kai World. Hello, Relp is hangry. Tart beat. I think it was Leary. Let me double check that. I was doing Thanksgiving stuff yesterday. It was a holiday for us in the US last week. Had some family stuff to do yesterday. I did not even see the games. I just saw the results. Let me check out the dashboard. Thalassocracy 2. Open this link in Firefox. I don't have to deal with any ads. And bring this up. They're drafting now, so I'll need to get the drafts on the overlay. Hello, a hot cow. Here are the brackets. It was Hera 4-2 over Viper. And, I mean, honestly, it's good for Viper to take 2 games against Hera these days. And Hart 4-1 over Leary, that is surprising. Hart over Leary is not something you'd expect. And usually I'd say Hera should win this easily. I mean, they have the same flag, but Hera has a leaf on it, so that definitely makes Hera favorite. I guess that's a different shade of red on the Peru flag than the Canadian flag. But I don't know, 4-1 over Leary, maybe Hart has a chance. It's an 8-tier tournament, so you never know what that means for Hera's gameplay state. Did look like struggled a bit against Winchester in a couple maps. Alright, let's see. I just tried to click on the draft website and it wasn't working. Maybe it's working now. The internet to work can be hard sometimes. Thank you, Ronick85 for the follow. I'm gonna see what happens if I put this best of 7 stuff on my best of 5 overlay. I'm guessing it's not gonna work. The maps work at least, the civs don't quite work. Let me get this. There we are. Need to center this again. Let me just get these centered, and then we should be good. I don't really have a good guide for this, but that's almost centered, right? Does that look centered, chat? No, it looks off-centered. It's gotta go this way a bit more. Overcompensate too much, like there. Is that centered? There we are. Hello, LC River. Hello, Mr. Blaze It. Alright, so do they have a lobby? Do they have a game? Are they getting started right away? They're in a lobby. They're in a game. Oh gosh, they're getting started right away. I wanted to make coffee, but we're just gonna hop into a game. Vikings for Hera, Shu for Heart. It'll be Islands. Oh gosh, I don't think I've actually casted a game of Islands in this tournament yet. I know it's played. I've seen Danny casting them, but I've never had the pleasure myself. They've always picked other maps. Let me do one thing. Move this up slightly. I think that's a bit better. Hello, Ring Lord. Welcome, everyone. Hope you're excited for some water maps. We have an entertaining set. I think it will be very entertaining if Heart wins 4-0. Empty chat window looks weird. Well, you gotta type more in the chat then. Type more in the chat. Convince Twitch to let me put the YouTube chat on screen as well and interleave the two of you, so that you're all together and not missing out on anything. Might have to update my OBS overlays so I can put both of them on the YouTube VOD, even if they're not on Twitch. This is final. I can finally. That's been a border loss, especially with 0 micro on Hulk. I agree with you, Mr. Blaze It. So we have Islands. Islands. This will be Hera as the blue Vikings, Heart as the red Shu. Are we okay to leave Hera in the blue? Will blue show up on water? We could do cyan versus red. Although cyan maybe doesn't show up on the Shallows maps. Cold snowy day in Chicago. Will Hera win 4-0? Ornley must be feeling the cold snow near Chicago then. Haven't got any snow yet here outside of New York. So this will be a best of 7. It is the finals. Hart did beat Leary. Hera beat Viper. We'll see if Hart can put up a fight. On Islands, I'd imagine the Vikings are heavily favored against any civ. They're Vikings. I wonder if there's room for FC longboats. Well, probably just going to see fast feudal 3-dock galleys. You could go for landings, but I still think the water approach is what we'll see. We will have the Boar Lord in, and Lord in early for Hera. This is not your standard AOC Vikings build, where you go 5 on wood, then house dock, and lure in the boar. Although I guess in AOC you'd lure the boar with the scout. Here, Hera will be pushing deer. From the looks of it, this is the Islands version I had made for Hidden Cup. We have 2 relics on each of the neutral islands. This map, this is Islands. Good old classic Islands. I really like Islands as a water map. Because unlike Migration, you have direct access to each other. So it makes going feudal more possible than going directly for the galley fight. But also it's possible to backdock. And by the looks of it, with house coming in this direction, Hera might be backdocking with 6 on wood, so those could be backdock FC longboats. And there's a dock. I put a lot of effort into making this map for Hidden Cup and getting it balanced. I was really happy with how it turned out when I'd seen it in the past. Purple versus black? There's no black. Hello, lame monk. And a fishing ship on the way for Hera. Also back dock from Heart as the shoe. So not going for that AOC Vikings meta. Back docking and taking wood, both of them. And with the back dock then, probably not going for a Dark Age transport ship. Where is Hera sending that Vil? His war's over there, and that is a hunter. But where's he going? Second lumber camp, maybe? Were he going for a second dock, I expected to be more towards the back if he's going for the back dock approach. But maybe going for the side's also viable. Civ, I think the Vikings are still the favorite. So the shoe, the advantage they have, lumberjacks generate food in addition to wood. That's a great eco bonus. Other than that, no real water bonuses, but that shouldn't be a slight to them. This is a great bonus. Archery range technology is cheaper, potentially makes landings nice. If you FC and sneak a transport for a workshop, maybe you could go for those war chariots. The war chariot rush, I think, has fallen out of favor a bit, though. That's true. The shoe, they only have forging. They don't have more attack upgrades. So not the best tech tree for the Hulks. Sarah will go lure that boar now. If you look at the dock, though, they miss fast fire. They have heavy demo, but I doubt those will matter. So everything at the dock aside from fast fire, the Vikings themselves, everything at the dock aside from fast fire and the second fire upgrade, but I doubt they're going fire anyway. This will probably just be galleys from both players, straight galleys. And potentially longboats, but if it's galley versus galley, then you're probably staying on galleys as the Vikings. I think it's 1 Vil per 10 lumberjacks, or 1 per... I don't know, I wish he gave us the number. Let me double check that. And I think I liked this map. I really like how the map works. I'm not sure I'm a fan of 8 relics. I had considered in the past going for maybe 3 islands instead of 2. Spacing the islands out a bit more. For cartographers, I was a bit fancier with what I had done for placing the neutral islands than I was on this map. And a bit more randomness to them could be nice. Other than that, I'm really happy with how the map turned out. My only thought is I'd maybe like 3 neutral islands and then 1 relic per island for a total of 5. So Heart up to feudal. And back docking. Hera up much more slowly. And we do see Hulks trained for Heart. The one thing I had seen why Hulks might be preferred over galleys is that they are faster. So if you're far apart, the Hulks reach forward more quickly. Although I still do think going full galley wins against Hulks. Are we sure they don't have fast fire? Yes, the shoe do not have fast fire anymore. That is true. Oh, well, let me double check the tech tree in game. Now that you mention it, remember Doubt did have the tech tree bug earlier, where it still said that the shoe had fast fire. So let's check that. Doc. The tech tree in game still says they have fast fire, even though they don't. Capture Age should have that right. There hasn't been a change to the patch somehow to add them fast fire. But you're right to point that out. So a Hulk coming forward. Hera going defensive galleys. He has 1, 2, 3 dock galleys. And as long as he sees the Hulks, should be able to take them out. As I was saying, Hulk's faster than galleys. So Hera probably has to be very defensive with his galley play here. But both players look to be going for an FC. No Market Blacksmith yet for Hera, but I expect that to come pretty soon. Same for Heart. They have that much food, they're not going to stay feudal for long. Here's 1 Hulk. Oh, you can garrison in docks. Yeah. Oh, you have to block. You have to block. Look at that with the Hulk micro. We finally see micro on a Hulk blocking the fishing ship so it couldn't garrison 1 fishing ship down. AoE2 tech tree I don't think is updated for the patch, maybe? AoE2, because the Shu have fast fire in the current patch, but do not have it in the Thalassocracy patch. And considering that they do have it in the current patch, and the tech tree says they have it in the Thalassocracy patch, I very much feel doubt's pain when they didn't actually have it. They never had it, really? I'm pretty sure they have it in the current patch. Unless Ornu lied to me in our DMs. Or I misread. They don't have it in AoE2 tech tree, really. Hold on. Let me tab over. I'm gonna double check my Ornu DM. Ornu says, I think they are. I remember them having everything except heavy demo in the regular game. And Ornu's not going to be wrong about the tech tree, right? I messaged him. I asked if Shu was supposed to have it. He says yes. Ornu's got to know the tech tree even better than the tech tree, right? You're not telling me that Ornu is wrong? So 1 Hulk for Hera. He'll be sailing around with his galleys. 1 Hulk for Hart. Ooh, can he micro and block a fishing ship again? Forging on the way for Hera, so he's thinking of the upgrades for the Hulks. And again, Hart going to block, and the fishing ship doesn't reach the dock. That's 2 fishing ships down to some Hulk micro. That is something galleys won't be able to do. They will not be as effective at killing fishing ships with a single galley as the Hulks are, with a single Hulk. Imbalance seems fun for you. That's the thing. I don't think it's actually all that balanced. I think we are moving from a situation where it's fire galleys and demos on ponds and galleys on large water maps to, again, galleys on large water maps and then Hulks on ponds. And we're never going to see demos and rarely going to see fires. And maybe Hulks have a small role when you're this far apart. But let's see, longboat on the way, medium warships for Hera. Will longboats be useful? That's the question. If you're going galley versus galley, usually in the past, the Vikings would just go straight up war galley. But without the discount what it used to be, maybe only minus 15%, maybe going for the longboat's even better now. I'm really curious if Hulks will be used long-term this game, or if they're going to stick to just galleys. I mean, quite a lot of fires as a front line on at least 2 maps. Hey, we'll see if they do that again. From what I've seen, galley plus Hulk tends to be better than galley plus fire. But yeah, here is a fire at least. There are all the ships together. Here is clinker construction. And that's in for Hera too. Even more so than ballistics, that the movement speed is prioritized. And here come the longboats. Fires, I don't think they'll be useful with longboats added in. And I'm assuming Hulks won't either. Oh, look at that micro. A much better fight for Hera there. Hart was stacked with only a small part of his ships at the front. How do longboats fade in now? I think longboats are still OP and probably dominate. in that they're going to be usable against galleys, usable against hulks, and much better against fires than the galley line is. So if you have a mixed composition, longboats still are the best, I think. And we will have ballistics and now careening on the way for Heart. Definitely easier to micro, but maybe harder with the war galleys mixed in. 3 war galleys. I think in this formation, that just makes it harder. And no ballistics, so ballistics versus no ballistics could give Hart an advantage to take a fight, but he's still fighting longboats. And much more nimble, and also faster. 1.69, nice. Careening on the way, and no ballistics still for Hera. And lack of ballistics can start to matter. As he runs away, Hart will take better shots, but Hart with fires have to close the distance on the longboats and then get shredded by them. Hera's still trying to fight without ballistics. And Hart pushing him back, but overall, Hera going to run forward, and now he's adding in hulks too. Hulks speedy enough to chase down the war galleys. Not as speedy as the fires, though. And speedy enough to get to the front. And a couple of hulks to deal with the fires. And now the longboats can push forward, and the longboats are amazing. No ballistics, and the longboats are dominating. So there's your answer to the longboat question. Longboats OP. Oh, look at him go. Oh, there are the fish for Hart. Oh no, Hart, don't lose your fish like this. There's a GG from Hart. Hera didn't even need ballistics. Alright, so both with a fast university for clinker construction for the faster moving ships. I don't even know where that is in the tech tree now. There. Clinker construction, then Carvel hull for 10% faster each. And ships are super speedy. And one of my complaints was that the war galley, as an upgrade to the galley, was really sad because they get large and cumbersome and you can't micro them as well. Maybe the movement speed helps that, but it does feel kind of silly to see ships so much faster than anything you get on land. As a baseline, knights are 1.35 speed. And I think the fastest scouts you ever can get would be Kuman's scouts without the light cav upgrade, which are 1.71, I think, the same as the fires. It'll be 1.55 with the Kuman bonus. And when you get fast fire with all the techs, it gets up to 2.0 for the speed. So there we are, 49 to 33 KD. Both players back docking, trying to do a bit of fish harassing. Eco's pretty much the same, but once things snowballed, Hera was slightly ahead in production. Cheaper ships for the Vikings, still amazing even in 2025. Orville's slower uptime, but better eco from it. Hello HQ. Oop, wrong scene. There. And Ozone, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome in, everyone from Ozone's stream. You're casting some Thalassocracy here. As Hera takes game number 1 on Islands. And he did use the Vikings, which were his very first pick. So no surprise to see the Vikings win. Hart maybe anticipating Vikings on Islands, didn't use one of his best civs. But that is a big risk to put yourself starting down 1-0 if you're not taking a great civ at the start. Ships are pretty fast compared to traveling on horseback, that's true. But did they need to be faster than they were when they were already faster? And the next map will be Immersion. And here we are. We will have Hera as the blue Malians to the southwest and Hart as the red Georgians to the east. Immersion has rhinos for a good start to the food eco. Units can push, or scouts can push in the deer. And then there are 4 ponds in the middle with water on the outside. And usually players will dock the outside. Occasionally someone will start in the middle, but usually it's on the outside. And you can see men-at-arms pushes. Malians will have a nice start with their cheaper buildings. They can get the dock up nice and fast. And with the extra Pierce armor bonus, should have a decent men-at-arms push. Georgians, fortified churches for the late game. And if you get to fortified churches, you have the better eco. Hart can try to make a transport ship and land with Vilsbunks in siege. Probably he could. But also, Hera knows that's what he's going to do at that point. It's not going to be a surprise. You lose the water and need to do something on land, and it's maybe a bit too late to do that. If he had done it earlier and kept Hera busy on the water, maybe. But I don't think it was much of a surprise at that point. True Viking is not the best monk civ, so it can be tricky to defend landings as them sometimes. Is this series competitive? While Hart did beat Leary, maybe he's well practiced in the new water balance. Rhino chasing the Vil. And there it is, taken under the TC. And Hera did use his #1 civ pick. So at least that's off the board. For Hart going forward. Hart still has Italians as his first pick. And Loom on the way for Hart. Should they take the closest deep fish later? Usually on this map you add multiple docks. And you're not worried about that too much in the Dark Age. Especially if they end up docking the middle. I think having the food income to click up to the Feudal Age is your priority, so taking the close fish in the Dark Age will help. But that is a good point for the new ability to garrison fishing ships in docks. That leaving the fish near the docks for later means you can garrison. And it is something I like seeing on shoals. But that's when you also have the sea tower. I expect for early army, men-at-arms into archers or skirms. Or both. Skirm's always a safe choice, but if you have the gold, you can always add in the archers. Better eco-civ? Malians early, Georgians late. This is what I'd say. Fortified churches are, in my opinion, the best eco bonus in the game for the late game. And here we have Feudal on the way for Hera. He added in a 4th militia. The Man-at-Arms upgrade is just about in for Hart. Hera will try to add that in himself. Needs a bit more gold. No warships for either of them. 6 fishing ships for both. And there is man-at-arms for Hera. Hello, Diego, too. Quick game 1. Well, galley war. One player gets a small advantage, then it's over. Maybe it was over with the Civ pick. What's good against Malian men-at-arms? Making your own men-at-arms? Malian men-at-arms, the advantage is they have an extra pierce armor. So... Archer is not as effective as normal, but as long as Archer's kite, they're still fine. Hart could try to add one more man-at-arms. And he's just going straight for the archers, though. Manages to pick a man-at-arms out of position. And, well, that's good finding units out of position. And a Vil being pulled from Hart. That might have been a misclick. Archer getting a bit towards the back. Another archer on the way forward. Tricky for Hart the way he regrouped there. But he's taking enough HP down off the men-at-arms, he should be fine. And if he keeps that Vil alive, then he can block a bit with the skirm, and things are okay. So, ooh, Vil low. Really low. Actually, Hera gets the kill. Kamiyuk man-at-arms finishes off the Vil. So, extra resources spent for one more man-at-arms. But the group of men-at-arms does manage to get a villager kill. 10 seconds of idle TC for Hera, nothing for Hart. And Hera has started adding a few hulks on water. We'll have a hulk for Hart. Shouldn't be able to get any more kills here. Both Vils turn and fight. Yeah, and that goes down right away. Nicely done from Hart. Are also cheaper? In theory, because of the gold bonus? I guess you could look at it that way. I have a bit more gold for the Malians. Every time a villager mines 10 gold, they drop off 11 gold. It's 10%. Yeah, 10% more gold. Good morning, specific god. Or perhaps good evening to you. But certainly morning here still. And Hulk forward now for Hera. And Hart will use the dock for defense. They're putting a fishing ship inside the dock. Don't like the Hulk attacking sounds. I know people have been telling me all about that. The Hulk graphics are weird too, as a villager goes down. They have the same sails as the galley line, and I think it becomes really difficult to tell them apart. In isolation, you can tell the Hulks are shorter, but when you have big groups of ships patrolling or moving in formation, then you lose track of the visual distinctiveness of the length and the similarity, or more than similarity, the identical sails make it extremely difficult to discern what the naval composition is for both fleets. What are they attacking with? It's supposed to be ropes. Capture Age doesn't render them yet. Capture Age needs to be updated for these things too. They attack with ropes. They're thematically supposed to be boarding, even though all they do is do damage. There's no actual boarding or mechanics for boarding. Some skirms and archers. For Heart, Hera doing forging. They do also benefit from forging. Boarding the villas at the beach. Yes, boarding the dock. Boarding the dock. No, it doesn't look it, but that's what they're doing. And Hera will be up much faster than Heart. Should be attacking with crewmates. They should be throwing units at the enemies. That should be, instead of ropes, they should just have units jumping from one ship to the other. Wasn't it supposed to be more diverse? Well, it's in small ponds like this, it's always going to be hulks now, because hulks counter fire galleys. There isn't enough room to micro galleys, and demos are useless now. In large water maps, I think there are roles for all three ships, even though I think it still is mostly dominated by galleys. And maybe this is civ dependent, but from what I've seen, I still prefer galley hulk versus galley fire. Although I think there probably is room in some situations for adding all the ships. On migration, since hulks are faster than galleys, I have seen migration be used when you're so far apart, and perhaps that's another reason why they're used here. But usually on this map you'd see fires on the outside, and fires and demos have been replaced completely by these hulks who blink their sails when they attack. A capture age thing or a game thing? Let me check the game. Oh, that happens in game too. That is... okay, that is not right. This patch is a beta, and playing a tournament on a beta certainly is a choice. And now, Hera can hide his fishing ships inside docks. And fishing ships garrisoning in docks is something that I think is intended to make maps less snowbally, but actually makes them more snowbally. And we saw that there. Hart, even though he lost the water, maybe could think about moving a few hulks forward to do a counterattack, but can't do any damage at all with the counterattack because the fishing ship's garrisoned right in the docks. It is, in a way, perhaps comparable to how being walled on Arena makes tower rushes stronger, because the player going for the forward towers cannot be counterattacked at home. So there is no threat of being counterattacked or leaving their own base vulnerable like there is on Arabia by going for the towers. And here, a similar thing, where once you win the water, you can stay forward, and you don't need any ships at home to defend, because the fishing ships can garrison in the dock. And if a small number of ships get forward, instead of doing damage, they are now doing nothing. They're causing some idle time, but not causing the long-term destruction of fishing ships. And 4 TCs right away from Hera. That's that Malians wood bonus in action, letting the TCs go up. Against only 2 for Hart. Hart trying to go Cav Archers. And they certainly can hoover, but we have 35 fishing ships. Look at that economy, 35 fishing ships for Hera. And he has gill nets for them. Gill nets has been changed a bit in conjunction with the Feudal Age technology. The big difference is that it has +5 carry capacity, so it has a larger effect for fish that are far away from docks. How are fishing ships compared to farmers? Fishing ships are much faster until the fish get far away from docks, but much faster than farmers. Defensive castle for Hera, and Hart going for the Cav Archer Mangonel push, but castle should stop that straight in its tracks, and as the Malians, even rebuilding the blacksmith will be cheaper for Hera. Yes, and combined with the feudal age tech for fishing lines, I believe overall it is more bonus you get from both of them. That's going to be interesting for Black Forest, where fishing ships in small ponds keep getting buffed. We'll have to monitor that. If ponds get even smaller, then maybe I need to make the... Or if ponds get even stronger, then perhaps I need to make the ponds smaller on Rage Forest so you can't fit as many fish in them. That'll be something for me to look forward, or to look at going forward, and potentially adjust. Imperial Age on the way for Hera. Bloodlines on the way for Heart. And the Megiddo gets hit on the Cav Archers. And gets another hit on them. Blacksmith going up. There's no way the Heart will win. I agree with you. With 45 fishing ships, you know, maybe Heart wins the game if the fish run out and Hera's fishing ships no longer are useful. Maybe if there are no more fish in the sea. Heart at least has some fish on the inner ponds, but nowhere close to the numbers that Hera has. Fortified fishing ships? That's what garrisoning in the docks does. Right, fortified fishing ships. Ram goes down. Those Malian, free arrows when TCs are not garrisoned, they still shoot arrows. So he did Tigui, they fire arrows without garrison. So you see the TC there. Anytime the Cav Archers get close, the TC will shoot at them even when villagers are not inside. And Hera, he's Imp now. Wonderful Imp for the Malians. And there's a GG from Heart, and Hera speedrunning the finals up 2-0. 34 to 10 KD. Hera getting a lead on water at the same time as he pulled ahead on land, and Heart could not counterattack in time. Fishing ships affected by blacksmith attacks? That they are not. Other than the ships that attack them are. Yeah, TC range is Lithuanians. There's 2-0 for Hera. And he did win Immersion. As Malians over Georgians. Might be a 4-0. Not gonna be too surprised when it's Hera. And the next map will be Khmer. I'm gonna run and grab some water. I'll be back in a moment. think Hera and Thalassocracy won. Was he defeated by Sorakuma? He was defeated by Sorakuma recently in a GL event due to admin win, when Hera wasn't available. Hera, that's true, Hera might finally break his A-tier curse. And here we are. So Hera will be the blue Sicilians to the south, Heart the red Japanese to the north. Little bit of shorefish inside the middle of the island. Thanks AoE 2 land generation. He's afraid someone will donate to the prize pool and turn it into an S-tier event. So you start with the transport ship on this map. It does make landings for militia and or men-at-arms a possibility. Sicilians for Hera, maybe he has a donjon masterpiece planned. Heart with the Japanese likely does want to go for aggression with a landing. Since you start with the transport, you don't need to wait to build it. That is something that is a pretty huge difference between AOC and the current water. Not to say anything of the Thalassocracy balance, but the Dark Age transport ship that you can train at the dock. In the original AoE 2, the transports were locked until the Feudal Age, and that does become a way of turning water maps into landing maps. And in some ways, you take the water out of the water maps by allowing the transports to be trained earlier, and you can go for the earlier landings. Sicilian transport vision. That's true. When does that... Oh, wrong. Yeah, comparison there. Look at how much larger that is. Compared to Heart with the Japanese. Their bonus is +5 line of sight and cost -50%. And that is a great bonus if you go for landings, because you can scout the coastline more and figure out where you want to land. And Hera right now... Oh, I was going to say, oh, look at that. He'll scout and see the lumber camp, but he turns away at the last moment. Hello, T-Cone. Yeah, huge vision compared to nothing. Now, there are oysters on the map. Oysters, a new addition from the Capture Age DLCs. And the dock will be here for Heart. Downside for Heart is the dock is right next to this island, so he has only one fish accessible from this dock. He docked here, he'd have maybe more, maybe 2 fish. But the fish on this map are quite sparse. They're not densely packed like on some other maps. Depending on your dock location, you might get 1 fish, you might get 3 fish. There's a lore of the boar. Can't wait to do FC into circumnavigation as the Portuguese. Circumnavigation, a tech that makes the map explored. Now that you mentioned that, I wonder how that works in team games with Allied Vision and free Carto. The original Portuguese team bonus was instant and free cartography from the start of the game, giving you allied vision with your teammates. But ever since allied vision was made the standard in-game, and you no longer had to research cartography at the market, and you no longer even had to build the market for cartography, the team bonus had been changed. Now, if you're allied with someone and that person does circumnavigation, then does the entire map get explored for you too? If you're playing a Diplo game and you ally with the Portuguese and then unally them, and they're researching the tech and you're changing your stances, then what happens to the vision? We need to check that. And Mem collected 5k for Thalassocracy. Isn't he collecting for King of the Desert? And there is the barracks, and Hera with that transport sees the barracks, sees the lumber camp, and will not be surprised by a landing. And he already is doing a defensive donjon on his gold. And since the donjons cost mostly stone, you're not putting your eco far behind in creating one. And here, Hera's going to long distance mine 50 stone. That'll put him at the 175 he'll need to create a second donjon if he needs it. So, already, if he needs a second donjon, he'll have it. Won't be able to train sergeants or shoot arrows until the feudal age, but feudal age is 20 seconds away. And it still can garrison. Maybe forgetting that it can't shoot arrows now. Hello, Epic Sea Dragon. That's what the Sea of Worms was in Vinland Saga, an Epic Sea Dragon. I said oysters were released in the Capture Age DLC? Yeah, they were. In the first one, in the first Battle for Greece DLC. No, not the Alexander one, the earlier one. There was originally an antiquity mode checkmark that you had to enable to use the oysters in maps, but I think they just made them usable in maps regardless. What is this transport shenanigans? So Hera trying to use his scout to kill Heart's scout. 1 HP difference there. And now Hulks for Heart will destroy the transport. And Hera forced into a very defensive setup with the donjons, and attempting not to make men-at-arms himself, instead just going for sergeants. How do sergeants do against men-at-arms? More HP, less attack, more armor. Faster attacking Japanese men-at-arms against sergeants. I think sergeants still should win this. Good thing for Hart is having sniped off the transport ship with the Hulks. Sergeants won't be able to do a counter landing right away. Losing the transport is huge. Wood upgrade for Hera. Hart already has that. And with the faster working Japanese fishing ships, they'll collect from oysters faster too. So he doesn't need to go as heavy onto gold. And fishing ship bonus, now only 4 left for Hera, 5 for Hart. And it feels like the Hulk advantage is here for Hart at the moment, at least. Hera not able to get the numbers to stop this. Like the Capture Age program? No, in the DLC. The Capture Age are the people who made the Chronicles DLC. They made the Chronicles DLC. They were the developer on that, not Forgotten Empires. Remember, AoE 2 is a game that's worked on by many developers and published by Microsoft. And doesn't necessarily have a unifying vision. And the Hulks for Hart I feel like they're winning the fight, even with the garrison docks. Forging on the way for Hera. Trying to get docks up to wall, but way too many hulks for Hart. Hart dominating the water, and pulling extremely far ahead in terms of resources collected. On this map, I feel that even as the Japanese, you do need to start adding farms in early. And maybe Hera can take an okay fight here. Nope, not enough. I was thinking maybe he'd finally get the reinforcements in time, but nope. Hulk's boarding the sergeants. They're gonna board the sergeants. And men-at-arms will attack the dock. No demos to stop them anymore. Neon hulks. I think the problem with hulks is that on a lot of maps, especially hybrid maps, on pure water maps like islands, I think what I've seen, there still is room for all 3 ship lines to be used at different points. Maybe on migration, there's room. But on hybrid maps where you're going land and water, and in particular on maps if you're going to have small ponds, like we had just seen on Immersion, and then to a different degree what we're seeing here, hulks are going to dominate. They will dominate, and instead of seeing fires and demos, we will see just hulks. Now Hera getting his hulk numbers reestablished. Hart trying to repair. Hey, there's a ton of hulks there. Look at that. I thought there were 3 ships there for a moment. No, he's got 12. Alright, imprecise arrows from transport ships. That would have been OP with those old Sicilian transport ships that had armor. You remember those when the Sicilians had armor? And there is Hart up to the next stage. And Hart gonna be on the scoreboard at least here. I think this is looking good for him. Now let me jinx him, but I think this is looking really good. Hera had a donjon defense, but put him too far behind on the water. He's going demos. These things are useless now. These things are completely useless. 65 attack. It used to be 90, right? That was 90 damage on a demo. Now it's 65? Oh my gosh, these things are useless. Let's see, maybe they can hit a Repairville. Oh, we did Hart doing a demo too. Hart had a much better demo than any of the ones Hera had there. Hulk wars are so silly, they sail away. Unlike galleys, with galleys you get to the point in the Castle Age where you're doing war galley and ballistics, and you can hit ships as they run away. But here when you try to run, the range is so short you don't get hit. You're so speedy and maneuverable. They were too strong and maybe distorted. The thing is, demos were the most fun part of water maps. And regardless of whether they were strong or weak against other ships, they were fun. And if they're aiming for a meta that de-emphasizes the demo ship, I think that in itself is a mistake, because you're aiming for a meta then that's less fun. So I don't know if I'd say distorting the meta they're going for is the right thing to do, so much as maybe pointing out a key hole in their design, that 2 melee ships don't necessarily serve different functions. Oh, we should remove skirms from the game. Now that'd be something, remove skirms from the game. Maybe skirms should just be demolition skirms that explode. That could be silly. Skirms are like demos, but they still have a minimum range of 1. So you have to be far away. If you get close to the skirm and get in the eye of the storm, then it doesn't do damage. There he is, Bowsaw. Like, yeah, but petards, you need to make a castle. Skirms would just be from the range. First the building charging monks, now the demos. What's next? Taking Dark Age away. Now they've done that years ago with Empire Wars. They took that away even before the monks. So Hera sneaks out another transport ship as Hart's trying to board his docks. Docks will go down. Go down fairly quickly to Hulks, I think. Oh no, Hart, the pathing. There we go. No more big bada boom, not even bada boom, just boom. Not even boom. The demos are just a misclick now. No player colors. Now we're not going to the AoE 4 release days. They added player colors to AoE 4, so hopefully we're safe. Hera up to castle. Still down by 1,000 resources, and we'll be doing a forward donjon. And this will be his attempt to get back on the water with the donjon that's being boarded by the Hulk. A war galley added in from Hart. At least the war Hulks and the war galleys have different sails, and the sails are shorter for the Hulks. Place gray. Well, there supposedly are going to be 16-player game modes added to AoE 2. It's in the Battle Royale map, and it has been for a while. And Bodkin on the way for Hera. How many colors are in the game files? Well, the colors are simply RGB or RGBA strings. There's a file where you can adjust the colors. So I don't think they're necessarily limited by numbers of colors. Colors are applied dynamically to the unit graphics. It's not like every sprite is saved for each color. So forward castle from Hart, that's going to help counter these donjons. He still has full water control, even though Hera did manage to sneak a TC to the southern island. Hart with his own TC to the north. Is there a date for this update? Not that I know of. After seeing this tournament, I feel like the water rework requires a lot of work still. And I feel that it would be rushed were they simply to release it in the next couple weeks after the tournament. And that very quickly puts us towards then holiday season at the end of December, where I doubt to see an update, followed by Red Bull in January, and I doubt they do an update that big during the Red Bull ladder. So I think we're probably looking at still a good, at least 2 months before we start thinking of seeing it. But maybe being a bit too rational there. And you never know when they might rush out a release. Samurai for Hart. And Samurai will, of course, have a plus 10 attack against unique units. And Sergeants do count as a unique unit. And nice walls from Hart trapping them in. And Hera will not be able to make a donjon on that landing. However, Hera does have the cover to make another TC on the right side of the map. That'll be his third TC, but he's falling down in eco units behind Hart, who still has at least 4 fishing ships out. At least at Christmas sounds fun. I don't know their plan for a release cycle. Could be a summer release. May or sometime around then. Maybe they go for one big patch with a water rework along with 16 player support. And then maybe they try to increase the price. AoE2's gotten more expensive these days with the price increase of the base game from $20 to $35. And the increase of Game Pass, and because the people who played it on Game Pass now have to pay the increased costs. Game Pass went from $15 to $30 a month, which is crazy when it used to be $10. Are there any new DLC in the making? I have no idea. Not that I know of. You heard that the Hulk was OP against all? It still does lose in large numbers to galleys. The problem is the boarding ship is so fast that it still, in some ways, counters galleys in the right situations. Or the wrong situations, depending on if you think the triangle should be the galleys always win. And since it also does win against fires and demos are useless, that significantly weakens the galley in comparison to the Hulk line. And on Water Nomad, we're still going to see galleys be the meta, but on any hybrid map or any land plus water map, Hulks will dominate. And Hart on his way up to Imp. Hera not too far away from clicking himself, but he is being landed by Samurai. Samurai can't do much damage with a TC Donjon defensive combo. Shooting arrows at them and keeping them away. Do free Dark Age roaming campaign. Honestly, I'd prefer to see medieval AoE 2 content in AoE 2. I'm more interested in AoE 2 content. I think they have enough problems with having a focused direction that not doing ancient content and staying in Middle Age content would be helpful for them. You have demos bonus damage versus Hulks? They could. Or they could just make demos better overall. Another donjon going up for Hera, but the Samurai are there. They're at the base of it, but the base is next to the TC and the other donjon. So Hart will be losing some Samurai there, needs to get to the outside. Vills will try to trap them in, but the Vills are trapped in with the Samurai. A couple more go down. Hart being a bit sloppy with his micro here, but he's also microing everywhere on the map all at once. There is Clinker Construction and Imperial Age for Hera, who will try to go up. He isn't that far behind in Vills. He's still falling behind in Eco. Are there civs that have a unique bonus for Hulks? I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But there's no bonus like Byzantines had the faster attacking fire ships, specifically for Hulks. Of course, every civ with a bonus such as the Vikings wood discount or Koreans wood discount will apply to Hulks, or the Portuguese HP and gold discount. Magyars getting free forging does help Hulks, because the attack bonuses do apply to them. I have Carrick's here for Hart. But I don't think there are any Hulk specific bonuses. There's Hera up to Imp. What about making it only go into shallow or deep water? You can't have something go only in deep water because docks only can be constructed in shallow water. Making a ship that can't sail in deep water would probably be really weird because I don't think the water terrains are distinctive enough to point that out. But that is an interesting idea, a ship that only works in shallow water. Heavy warships on the way in this dock for Hera. Cannon galleon out for Hart. And good thing Hera has that donjon there. That'll distract the ships that would have destroyed the dock otherwise, so heavy warship is in for Hera. Don't think the Sicilians win against the Japanese on the water late game, though. Japanese have everything at the dock, aside from heavy demo, which, as we've discussed, isn't useful. Sicilians will miss the final fire ship upgrade. I don't know if incendiaries is useful. Let's see, Japanese do miss both of them. Oh, actually, Japanese, never mind, they don't have the full dock tech tree anymore. They missed the fire ship upgrades. Do those matter much? I don't know. And in fact, we might just see Carrack and Galleon anyway. The Carrack being the final upgrade to the Hulk line. Khitan Hulk. Khitan Hulk, that's true. They do benefit from the double attack upgrades from the Khitans. Yasama Tower is better than Donjon. The thing about Yasama Towers is that the Japanese do not have access to heated shot, so they're not going to get the bonus attack versus ships. Sicilians do. So I still would think donjons would be more useful on the water maps. Either way, though, cannon galleons outrange them, and if you don't have any ships on the water, cannon galleons will pick your towers apart. Here's shipwright for Hart. Siphons for Hera. Will that be useful for him? I have no idea. Fire ships are so speedy, 1.82 speed. Oh, what about the university? Yeah, you could still do Carvel Hull for more speed. At max speed, the fire ships move at 2.0 speed, which I think is the fastest unit in the game outside of Berber's having even faster ships. Berber trade cogs should be even faster if those techs apply to them now. Hart should start to raid. I think Hart is fine to use his cannon galleons and slowly but surely win the water. There's clinker construction for him. Oddly enough, he didn't prioritize the speed upgrade in this matchup. I guess he didn't need it. I'm probably more worried about ship numbers and getting close to 200 pop. Hera only on 120. 12 army versus 57. And now the cannon galleons can come over. Would love to see elite cannon galleon at some point. But I don't think there's much of anything that Hera still can do. Try to rush up a dock, but we'll lose Vils probably. Oh, no, never mind. Those are Hulks. Those aren't galleons. Now the sails for the Hulks and the galleons look so similar, I can't tell them apart. The fires at least have distinctive sails, so you can see them clearly apart from galleons. Here, can you really tell the difference between these Hulks and these galleons? When you have big groups of them, the short chubbiness of the Carracks is no longer visible or distinct from the galleys. And at least the War Hulks are distinctive because they clearly have smaller sails. Here the sails are the same. A couple more sails, 3 instead of 2, but that's hard to tell from the back when the front sail isn't visible. And we at least get rid of the demo nerf that's here. Oh, look at these. Oh, look at them go. Warp speed. Fire ships. They go so fast they'll turn into lizards. Use the word chubby for ship. Donut described them as chubbed the other day, and I think it's very appropriate. Oh, look at that feudal demo raft. Look at that thing going around. That's cute. Could make them player color? Maybe. That won't make them look kind of ugly, but could be a thing to try. We would need to see it done to see how it looks. Demos are distinct because they only have one sail. And you're never gonna lose track of a demo once you see it. Oh. Silly feudal demo against fast fires. I'm not sure what Heresies is win condition either. If you go to his point of view, he sees that heart is everywhere. Maybe Hera thinking I can tire heart out for other games. Smattering of arrows from the donjon. Give all Hulks a little green flag on top. Everyone wants to see the green Carrick Hulk lines. Hello, Sato. How you doing, Sato? This is best of 7. How have you been enjoying the water changes, Sato? I'd be curious if you have any more opinions now after seeing a lot of Thalassocracy. So dry dock in for heart, that'll be even more armor. Hera desperately making donjons, doing what he can to cling to a bit of eco. He will be out of gold maybe soon. Like best of 7 for finals way more. I think best of 9 makes sense if you're at a LAN event and you're invested into the finals. I don't mind a best of 9 for a single set, but it definitely can draw out. Micro isn't as interesting as I thought it would be. Galley War was more fun than Hulk War. Yeah, Galley Wars were fun. I wonder what you think about water maps for something like TTL, where we have a mixed map pool of water maps, land maps, closed maps, and a bit more variety. Because in the past, back in the AOC days, you'd have players who were really confident in their micro and would go for the water maps because they felt it gave them a super strong home map advantage in a tournament. And I feel like nowadays, with water maps being more hybrid focused, stuff like Cross, where it's fire galleys and small ponds, or more landing focused with the Dark Age transport ships, we don't have that same home map advantage that players used to have for water maps. It feels like they're maybe blend in a bit more. There might be more variety in water maps with different ship compositions or landing strategies, but I think they lose maybe a bit of the uniqueness they used to have. Feels too early to have a good balance. Yeah, is there any micro that's interesting with the Hulks? We did see a couple instances in the first game on Islands where Hera was trying to garrison his fishing ships, and Hart had one Hulk that was able to block while continuing to attack it. Other than that, I don't really see much micro with Hulks, and even less so than fire ships because they don't block each other. Think it isn't as important because of the garrison of fish? Yeah. Look at all these docks. Hera doing what he can to try to get his population back, but he's been at 120 pop every time I look up. Heart's been at 200. Yeah, maybe things change if we have a different demo ship balance. Carrick's here frontlining against the fires. I do think all three ships become useful on islands or in some different situations, but it'll always be some combination of fire and or a Hulk with galleys behind them. And I doubt we'd ever see a fire plus Hulk composition winning against a galley composition. Maybe the hooks should actually hook. The most interesting map is Aqua Arena, where we really see the boat compositions. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I feel whenever we have a map, maybe more extreme on something like Kawasan, but here on Khmer, where it's a land-water hybrid, that Hulks will always be the best opening. Since you're going for land, you don't have the same investment or even the same time to micro galleys like you do on other maps. And since Hulks beat fires and demos are useless, you end up with Hulks. And it's different late game where we're seeing more of a combination here, but early game still is going to be Hulk dominated. That also has been my impression, though. I feel like Aqua Arena has been the most diverse in terms of ships that we've seen. Yeah, exactly. They don't really counter Hulks, at least in small enough numbers, because of how fast the Hulks are. That's what I was seeing on Migration, that you're so far apart. Opening Hulks can be even better than galleys because of the speed. Hera has a couple of really weak donjons. He's dropping in pop now, down to 111. He's trying to use the fires, but a few Carracks there to deal with them. Score his water. Yeah, only a 10k score difference. Now Hera dropping down to double-digit populations if he loses a couple more ships. There he goes, down into the 90s. And there's a GG. So I feel Hart won that with the landing in early feudal. Hera did what he did, or did what he could do to hang on. But no real chance for him anywhere during that game to come back. I don't even know what this graph means anymore. You gotta change that every time for Capture Age Pro. For this Thalassocracy version they gave to everyone. So GG. Hart gets himself on the scoreboard. You hope Hart got up and made coffee about halfway through. That's what I need. I need some coffee. So he wins Khmer. That'll be Japanese over Sicilians. Very last pick Civ for Hera. So I'm sure he's not too upset about losing with that. And apologies for the ad, but Harris spent so long not resigning that my pre-roll timer is down to 0 seconds, so let me run a 2-minute ad. No Aqua Arena. I know Hart and Hera would be the two players not to pick the best map, right? Should have been a forced game 1. Big time loaf. And thank you, eBrook, for using your Prime sub. And Big Time Loaf, too, thank you for the sub. For using your Prime. Maybe we should do a stream one day about Prime numbers. Just to sell out for the Primes. Open the wrong capture age. Let me open Thalassocracy capture age. And Bog Islands will be the next map. Bog Islands. Oh, you don't like Aquarina No Pants Day? It does take a while to get going. Oh, and Epic Sea Dragon, thank you for the sub for 12 whole months. That'll help us count towards Partner Plus. I think I actually do need a few more subs for the 100 this month. Doesn't really matter too much. It would be nice to keep that streak going. Yeah, I need like 7 more. And Braylo, hello, hello. Why would an arena be bad? Now, Sato. Maybe we can get Sato coming around to the way of thinking that Age of Empires is more interesting when there are walls on the maps. That the clowns have good reason to use walls. And Big Time Loaf, thank you for gifting a sub to Overdroid. Thanks for the gifty. So Bog Islands. Oh, I failed to download match content. Thanks, D. Thanks, D. Romans for Hera, Mongols for Heart. I'll have a minute of spec delay here. And then Bog Islands. Did Hulks even have sales in reality? I lost that message earlier, but that's a good question. Maybe I should look up some historical info about Hulks. I want to make a video about water. Or the new water balance. I'll need to look up some info on the Hulks. Here we are. Heart will be the Red Mongols to the northwest, Hera the Blue Romans to the southeast. This is Bog Islands, where players start with 3 rhinos And that makes the Mongol hunt bonus extra impressive. Here, Hart will lure a rhino right from the start of the game, and it'll be Rhino Mania for him. Oh, killing it with the TC. And Hart has a build order. Look at this. 3 on the Rhino, 2 on a straggler tree. And he has a plan. Hera... Ooh, look at Hera's map. Hera could wall here and over here somewhere and have an extraordinarily safe wood line in the back. So whatever Hart wants to do with the Mongols, the way Hera has Black Forest of a map back here, early aggression might not work out. Is there a map that's only water? No, but with oysters, maybe that could be possible. You like Bog Islands as a map? I've never really been a fan of Bog Islands, but I do really like Water Nomad as a map. Bog Islands has some fish in the middle that are so far from the coastline they're essentially useless. And the trees in the middle, since there isn't enough room to land and do a lumber camp, you can't realistically chop them unless you're going to transport vills back and forth. Maybe Armenians or Georgians could transport a mule cart. Look at that buffalo there. Hello, buffalo. In the middle of nowhere. Dock for Hart. And Hart going for a dock before a lumber camp. He is cooking with this build order. He is cooking with this. So that rhino almost out of food. He'll garrison and shoot another one. They're so close to the TC. Lures will be very easy here. Important part is you can't run through the middle. Yeah, you can't run through the middle of Bog Islands. You can sail through the middle, but you're extra far apart in terms of land distance because you have to walk around the middle. Oh, Buffalo of the Lake, what is your wisdom? The wisdom is bring your buffaloes back to the TC, Hart, so Hera doesn't steal them with his scout. For Doc for Hera. And oh, Hera didn't go for the ultra-safe lumber camp area. Went to the side, so at least that will make him a bit more vulnerable. And the fish are really far away from the coastline on this map usually. Hart got pretty lucky with having a fish by his dock. It's not that far away of a sail. Ooh, pick on a villager. Hart loses a villager there. Hera should wall and trap the scout and not let it get out. We can get out the other side too. There's a Komodo dragon there. You see the Komodo dragon? No, he didn't see it. I was gonna say, maybe he's gonna throw a Jabeta Vil into it. There's Feudal Age on the way for Hart. And, well, we'll see if this Mongol's pick pays off. Is he up significantly faster? He's up by a Vil. 17 to 18 Vils up. Is there loom? Probably not. No loom for either of them, I'd imagine. And Romans will have the 5% faster everything. Do they have additional delayed attack? You mean the poison damage that units that get attacked or damaged over time? Pretty sure they have that. Have I ever fought a Komodo dragon IRL? I have not. I've never seen one IRL. There is feudal, and it is a galley opening from both. Not going to be a Hulk opening. We did see a few maps where players started with Hulks. Here they're just galleys. Oh, and here I was thinking Hera would have a Black Forest map if he walled compactly over here. No, he's going to wall off the entire back of the map and keep a gold safe. He has a relic in the back. Okay, never mind. There goes my idea. This'll be much better. The only downside is I guess the gate might be opened if a galley has to run through it. Did Hera do loom?
Impera. Salve.
Could have sworn I clicked that and so I didn't do loom earlier. Maybe I just wasn't clicking and reading properly. I might have a perception -1 moment. You have a zoo in Vienna, taking part in a repopulation program for them. Now you got me thinking, have I ever seen them in a zoo? I don't think so. I saw some hippos in the Berlin Zoo back during NAC. Ooh, what is this? Scout gets a kill, Hera. Hera active with that scout, killing more loomless vills. Hart never did loom. And paying the price for it. Hera able to hop inside of his dock. One fire galley forward here for Hart, helping to keep the galleys away. So we can fight them. Oh no. This is a don't try it at home disclaimer. Viewers should not be fighting Komodo dragons at home. Not gonna be so much idle TC time, because he focused on going up fast to pump out galleys. When that happens and you're focused on food and... when you're focused on wood and gold for galleys, you can end up idling your TC a bit. Are the fires here actually being useful? For Hart? Hera does have fletching. And that might be a reason too. Hera might have had the idle time because he went for fletching. And the fires mean that you don't need to do fletching. And Hart has been forward for a long time without fletching. Maybe trying to find ways to delay that, not need the blacksmith as early, and keep the TC running faster. There aren't many fish available on this map. And I think Hera's fishing a box turtle there. So he does have to rely upon the water buffalo. Oh, Harry T. Hello, Harry T. Oh yeah, Hart didn't pay attention to his scout for a while. That's been there. How you doing, Harry T? And now Hera needs to micro. With the fires, maybe this could be an advantage for Hart. If he could trap Hera, Hera could go back through his gate, but he'd also open the gate and expose his vills. Okay, never mind. Hera had the galley numbers there. I was hoping the fires would get a big surround and kill some navy and get Hart back into the set, but no. Hera will fend that off. I've seen Mongols picked several times for this map, and I've never seen them be all that effective. They have really fast uptiming. And I get the idea is to disrupt the fish that have to be forward and vulnerable. But again, not really working out. Perhaps the Mongol uptiming is less potent than it has been in the past because of the ability to garrison in the docks. You're not going to be destroying the fishing ships right away. This is the finals. This is the finals prawn. Semifinals were yesterday. I wasn't able to cast them though. You are officially a lawyer. Turns out you can... Oh, nice. Congratulations, Harry. You can look into the legalities of gambling licenses in small islands north of Madagascar. Officially for us now. So, Mongols not working out. 24-9 KD. Hera able to camp with galleys and win. More vills, but more micro. So asking why does Hera have idle time? The overall answer is because he wanted to prioritize getting an early fletching for the galleys. And sometimes that requires a bit of idle time to have the food for fletching if you're not fishing constantly. So Hera on the verge of breaking his A-tier tournament curse. Up 3-1. Winning Bog Islands. And he still has Armenians, Bengalis, Berbers, and Khmer left. Hart has Italians, Malay, Wu, and Wei. Maybe I do prefer Hart's civs in Italians, Malay, and Wu. How many years? Since what? Since Hera's won an A-tier event? Several. It's been like 2 or 3 years. Should they rename Wu to Uwu? Only if they remove the hero unit. Am I casting anything else? I don't have anything else today to cast. I might do some community games, but I might take a break and come back later for them. And Ditoko, thank you very much for using your Prime sub. Thank you very much for the support. What's everyone's favorite Prime number? Mine is 5. Still 3 more games to cast, potentially. And the next map will be Migration. To 113. So Hart here will be the red Malay, and Hera will be the blue Armenians. Hulk is the fastest ship, then Galley, then Fire Galley. Late game, though, isn't the fast fire ship faster than the Carrack? Because that gets to 2.0 speed. 5 seems like a good one. It's the best AoE 2 color. Color 5. So Armenians for fortified churches on migration. I think this is one of my versions of migration 2 from an earlier TTL. I'm not sure exactly which version, but it is one of mine. I can tell the terrains and whatnot come from a more AOC specific style. I could probably do a lot to make it prettier, but it serves as a version of migration that's nice. I like the hill setup on it because they flatten out and you can do TCs atop the hills fairly well in some spots. They're not small and bumpy and blocking your locations in the middle. Anyway, Armenians, Malay, 2 good monk civs. Karambit warriors for the Malay maybe are good against the warrior priests of the Armenians, but I still think it's tricky to get the castle added in early enough to fight for relics. And if Hera can get 4 or 5 relics as the Armenians are the warrior priests, and the way the map spawned, no relics to the west, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 relics to the east. Something that we used to see on migration that I doubt we'll see now could be a fast feudal where you transport a villain in the Dark Age, then to do forward docks, and in the current patch you'd get fires into the fishing eco. In this patch we'd see hulks in the eco, but I don't think that's viable anymore because the fishing ships would simply garrison in the docks, and I don't think you can do damage with it anymore. So that strategy probably no longer a thing if this patch is what it'll be like going forward. Like 113 from your house number. Oh, okay. You know prime numbers beyond 67. Oh my gosh. Are people gonna start saying 67? 67 is their favorite prime? Well, at least 69 is composite. Village should be able to steal houses as well as farms. Now that is interesting. Mule carts can be nice for taking gold on this map. The golds did spawn pretty close to the forests. That's why I'm wondering which version of the map I would have had of my migrations that make them so close to the forest. New Khmer bonus, steal enemy houses by garrisoning villas in them. Maybe that's how to do it. Garrison villas in the houses to steal them. In the years since you've had a math class? Oh, I'm sorry. We should make more math videos then. So it looks like it's going to be fast castles from both of them. There are fast feudal strategies where you make hulks from home, I think. But maybe fast castle is simply with this new water meta, the meta for the map. Again, being able to garrison the fishing ships against aggression from across the map should keep you safe. Bills with different physiques. And there is a mule cart. And Feudal Age first clicked for Hera. Now I wonder if he'll go for a transport ship and try to go forward with the Vils in the Feudal Age? Could even bring a mule cart with him. Oh my gosh, actually. With the transport ships these days, the Armenians could bring a mule cart and a ton of Vils across to the middle and start chopping wood here. And be in a very safe position to do Feudal Age buildings, town centers, anything they want in the middle. Rowers and random ship movement speeds. That would certainly make micro different if your ships randomly speed up or slow down. And Heart is... wait, what? Heart is victorious. The game is over. Is the dream of Hera's internet dying going to stop him? Something died. It's not my stream dying. Hera disconnected is what I see. So Hera's internet may have just died on him. I'm sure they'll see if they can restore then. Oh, GG now. I'm pretty sure that's just a... Yeah, the 5 score difference was too much. Hera had a 5 score lead. And we'll see. They might just... that's the type of thing that if they can't restore, they might just restart then. Karambits take a full slot in a transport ship. They take a full slot in a ram and a siege tower. A garrison full slot. Inside of a castle, it's a full slot. Do not take half a slot. That's Hera's A-tier curse, taking his internet down. Mule carts, garrison, and siege towers? I've never tried. Oh, they're able to restore. Able to restore. And Hera says yes. Good. Heart says yes. I say he's build different. I don't know about that. It just seemed like the normal thing people try with Mongols. What a cliffhanger. Oh, well, it's more than 5 score now. Look at that. 100 score. Do you lose any time in disconnect? Well, he has 0 idle TC time. So if he did, I'm sure it wasn't that bad. Market blacksmith for him. And he is still fishing. Nothing queued in docks, wants to save the gold for the castle age. Doesn't have the wood for ships now with the market and the blacksmith. More res collected for the Malay, and of course heart does go up faster with them, double bit axe on the way. Transport for heart, he'll move his scout to the middle. And there is castle age and gold mining queued for Hera. They reconnected, or rather they were able to save and restore. And fishing lines on the way for heart. And hulks, yep, hulks faster than the galleys, so it'll be a hulk opening for heart, and a galley opening for Hera, and now we get to see what wins between galleys and hulks. My thought is that the galleys still should win. But the hulks do give some more options for aggression. And it will be a forward dock here for heart doing medium warships. Still trying to find Hera. With a good timing advantage to get the medium warships upgrade. Loom on the way for him. And he's still scouting the middle. Scout in the middle for Hera too. And the first thing he'll do is a fortified church. And the Armenians can get 6 relics, of course in total with their free church relic. And he'll be going for a dock himself. Those medium warships, the war hulks, getting into his fish now. 16 to 18 fishing ships, so heart with a fishing ship advantage. Hulks boarding stuff over here. Boarding the dock foundation. Iron casting for heart. Boarding each other to trade sales. Another dock defensively for Hera. Heart with a slight lead. Good Malay economy. But Hera's starting to pick up relics. Heart going for TC in the middle. Usually the middle does matter a bit more than the outside on migration. And I think Hera is taking the larger area. Maybe the more proper priority. But Heart doing some damage with those fires. Did add in the fires against the galleys, but here are some hulks. And Scout will find the vills on the TC. They have to be walled in. Hulks, yeah, hulks are now the raiding ship. With their speed. Actually, fire ship's faster than the War Hulk, though. I guess the War Hulk doesn't get any speed upgrade over the normal Hulk. It's still 1.5. War Hulks will look to board the fires as Wheelbarrow comes in for Heart. One Vil TC from Hera as he picks up relics. He has 2 already, that'll be his 3rd. And should have no problem getting the other 3. As he's scouted them, he's scouted 1, 2 of them. And should pick up the 3rd relic in his scouting pretty easily here. There's Clinker Construction for Hera. Ballistics and Clinker Construction. Blinker construction first for Hart. So both players prioritizing the movement speed, but Hera did ballistics first thanks to the number of galleys that he had. I'm a waffle juggler. Personally, I've only eaten waffles. I've never juggled them. But I did learn how to juggle years ago at a math program when I was an undergrad over the summer. I have a friend who can solve Rubik's Cubes while juggling them, and he taught me how to juggle. His videos with millions of views on YouTube. If you look up, you'll find Ravi juggling Rubik's Cubes. Hello, Folder. He also competed in speed Rubik's Cube solving competitions where you solve them as fast as possible. Okay, Hulks in the middle with fires behind them against Hulks with galleys behind them. I think Hart had numbers in that fight, but Hera's still finding a decent way to take it anyway with the Hulks. Let me backtrack. Hello, hello. Waffle juggling, that sounds fun as long as you can eat the waffles at some point and you don't drop them. And that's the second and third TC as we have 4 relics. 4 relics for Hera, and he's on his quest for 6. And 6 relics will be an insane amount of gold for Hera to grab, and then think about clicking up to Imp soon? He'll have 3 TCs, and he's kept his fish alive for the most part. And this is key for Hera, winning the water and the land well enough that he can move docks around the coastline, and by extending the docks, he increases the longevity of his fishing ships because he gains access to more and more fish. On a bet on Relic Victory? Oh my gosh. I mean, now that you mention it, they did have to change patches to the Thalassocracy patch, so there is a chance their lobby settings were set up differently, and it might be standard. I can't pause the stream, Toxic Wild Hog, but if you sub or use your Prime sub, Twitch is rolling out the ability to rewind and pause the stream on Twitch now. Or you could just do that on the YouTube stream without needing to sub. Fire is trying to go forward for Hart, but they're running right into the Hulks. Right into the War Hulks. Imperial Age on the way for Hera. Forgeable sum. Water is boring. That's I guess what they're trying to change with this patch, but I don't think they really accomplished that. And I would honestly dare say that with the nerfing of demos, they've made it even more boring. Imp on the way for Hera, and I think he's ready to get a clean victory with 5 relics. Maybe Hart can wall that one in. And his fire ships are just bad now. I've seen players trying to add them in here and there, but I feel like they haven't been effective. What is the best land unit versus naval units? Depending on the situation, sometimes it's the monk. Other times it's towers or castles. There is Imperial Age. But faster Imperial Age for Hera, even though he's facing the Malay. And beating the Malay up to Imp by such a margin must feel really good. Lily, hello Lily! Half are also not bad if you hit the ship. Flashback to the Nightmares of the Joan of Arc campaign. Oh, what is that? Hera, he is up so much that he can even research demolition ship. The demos have their own separate line of upgrades now. And he's clicked it. He's clicked it. Oh, a demo. Look at how nothing it did. Against fires and hulks, this is when demos should shine, right? Let's see if we can do anything with them. Maybe we need some trebs. We get the most silly tech of the game. What is the most silly tech of the game? Sicilian Fleet? Oh, is Sicilian Fleet still useful? Full demos, 20% extra blast radius? Heavy demo Sicilian Fleet? Could Armenians be the only civ that can make demos? Oh, oh no, Hera's internet has dropped again. Hera's internet has dropped again. And unfortunately, probably not a game Hart would want to resign in if this is a drop and they can't restore. GG. Now that is Hera's internet has dropped. He dropped earlier, so I'm sure they'll try to restore. The demo must have taken out Hera's internet. His ISP saying, Hera, what are you doing? Don't make this ship. And we'll see if we can get a restore. And it looks like they're back into it already. So many wins for Hart. Yeah, if you count both of those drops as a win, it's now tied 3-3. We're on game 7. Single-use internet. Well, what would that even be like? You receive a single packet, and then you gotta go buy it again? The ISP must have optimized to assume that packets would not contain demos, and Hera found a way to break the internet. Hello, Miss Luna Rain, you've been doing leather work on your shoes while watching, and I think I've got them all repaired. I should go work on Hera's internet next. I'm sure he'd appreciate that. Drop should give the win. Yeah, that would be unfortunate. These are online tournaments. Are the Magyars banned in a water tournament because of the free forging line upgrade? Was that a player ban? Oh, that's just a random admin ban. Or wait, I don't see Magyars banned anywhere. Oh, there they are on Hera. Hey, they're banned because of the free forging upgrade. Because the forging line of upgrades affects the Hulk line for extra damage. So Magyars have a water bonus now. Heavy demo, heavy warships, and Sicilian Fleet, an option at the castle. Any indications? I haven't heard anything from the developers about rebalancing the water. Guess it makes sense not to say anything during the tournament. We'll have to see if they have any thoughts afterwards. Okay, heavy demos. Can they do something? Can they be useful? Can they be useful? I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say those resources would have been spent better on more galleons. Maybe Sicilian fleet could have made them less useless, but dang, demos are sad. They were heavy demos and they did absolutely nothing to melee ships. And there's a GG from Hart. Hera will win 4-1. Despite the ineffectiveness of the demos, we don't have any stats here because of the save and restore. 46-13 KD. Hera, the Armenians, they are pretty darn strong. Do they still shoot extra arrows from their galley line? Yeah, extra projectile. This is a graph. Don't submit this as your homework in your math courses if your teacher asks you to draw a graph. GG. Like the flaming camels of the sea, only less useful. That's true, flaming camels. What's the last B tier Hero one? What's the last B tier he participated in? Does he participate in B tier events? So that's a 4-1 win for Hera. Congrats to him. Armenians over Malay. Hart didn't even get to use Italians. But right away, Vikings for islands. Are Armenians the best civ for migration now? Fortified churches and the warrior priests feel crazy good. Even putting aside the fact that he was ahead on the water. Has my perception of the new water balance changed at all since I first saw it? Well, when I first saw it, I didn't really know what to think about it. I think my perception has coalesced to... I think in general, it's less fun than the previous meta. In no small part because Hulks, with the lack of demos being effective, dominate fires so hard that on hybrid maps it's only Hulk, and on far water maps it's some type of galley Hulk combination. But Hulk micro isn't as fun as galley micro, and when you remove demos, you remove the fun part of playing against fires. So all in all, I'm really not a big fan of the water changes. I think it is nice that everything is on one page of the doc, but other than that, don't really think this was the right direction to take a change in water. I think, oddly enough, the attempt to make 3 ships that are useful ends up actually making it more one-dimensional. I'm definitely not a fan. The one thing I'm not a fan of is fishing ships garrisoning in docks. I think that makes it way too snowbally and not aggressive enough. AOC water balance was the best one. I still actually kind of think that. But by going fast castle fires as an option instead of the fire galley. Are Vikings still strong on water with their longboats? Yep, that is exactly, if you go back and you watch game number 1 on Islands, you will see the dominance of Vikings with longboats. Older. The blunt description of the upgrade. They should make demos super strong. If you stopped typing after that, Diego, I think I would 110% agree with you. This makes me miss the patch on the HD edition when the demo ships were broken, and instead of having the damage taper off towards the end of the blast radius, they did 100% damage throughout the entire blast radius. That was peak Tato gameplay at that time. Why did they ruin turtles in the first place? I don't know, Folder. Ruining the turtles made me sad. Turtles finally had a place in the meta, making them an early Castle Age as the Koreans, and they had to break them. Anyway, I don't see the host is AEIOU Swallow streaming on Twitch. I don't see their stream live. Oh wait, they are. How do I raid a Twitch channel that has stuff in the name like that? I would raid them, but they're also not streaming in English, so maybe that's not the best idea as much as I would like to raid them. I'm definitely gonna be back later. I'm gonna play some community games later today. Well, everyone was just streaming this. Copy paste the name from the stream page. I could, yeah, I can do that. I don't know if it's the best thing. Usually I like rating the tournament host. I don't know if sending English viewers to a non-English language stream, though, is going to be useful for them. Maybe I'll do it anyway. Anyway, I'm going to be back later today. And we'll just raid their channel on Twitch for now. So we're going to play some community games later. I'll send you over there anyway. So thanks for watching. I'll end the stream on YouTube, and we'll raid on Twitch, and I'll be back later. So if you want to play some community games, I don't know what time yet. Probably in a couple hours, though. So it's only noon for me, so I got time to eat some lunch, take a quick nap, and then come back for some community games. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.